This is Chris Cohen, our tutorial on movement screening for our clients. And what we've done for you is created a movement screening document in Google Docs, right? And this will be accessible in your Google Docs files for your trainers and really easy to go through. We also have a response form which is created automatically, so you can kind of see the responses of how we screen the client and kind of the results that we got. And we'll go through that in our next video. But once we click on our movement screening form, we're gonna bring up the shell of the document, all right? And this is a screening form that we've already created to give you kind of an idea of the different tests that we use, and all of these tests are correlates to the exercises that we perform in our gym. Okay, be it total body movements, deadlifting movements where we're using more of a hip hinge, things like swings, deadlifts, that kind of thing, any upper body movement, and then single leg movements like lunges, split squats, and that kind of thing. And what you'll notice is that we have green light, yellow light, red light, don't train. What you're going to do, what I'll do is I'll just bring up a live form of this video, or of this form. When the client, or when you as the trainer or the client goes to fill this out, they put in their name. Right? You watch the video of what happens. So you could click on that; it would bring up a video of what to do. And then based upon their response, you either write down green light, yellow light, red light, or don't train. And don't train is, the movement was painful, so we don't want to train that pattern. Now with green light, the movement was perfect. Okay, as described in the video, the person was able to do it with proper form. And there's really no need to go any further than that. And if you see the person do it perfectly, or as shown in the video, then they get a green light, meaning they can train hard. There's no limitations there whatsoever. If they get a yellow light, that means that they performed the movement with some kind of compensation. And what that really means is that in our video we show you ways to kind of modify things to make the upper body, take the upper body out of it, or make the lower body a little bit more accessible. And based upon their compensation, we're going to write yellow light. So that just means that something's going wrong there. It's either upper body or lower body. You can make a note in the other tab, and what I would do is click yellow light as well as other, and write like arms fell forward or what have you. If it's a red light, that means the client couldn't do it at all. All right, and a red light means don't train that pattern, or modify that pattern in some way to ensure that we're able to do it without pain. Because the red light means that there's pretty significant limitations to that particular pattern, and there's a heightened risk of injury. Okay, and we often see this with clients who sit a lot or decondition or what have you. But this allows us to know when the client is going into a fitness situation, be it a fitness class or personal training, that this is a pattern that we really need to scale and either perform with body weight, with minimal amounts of stress, versus having them doing say a total body exercise where they're doing maybe a squat to press, rather than holding weight. In this situation they might be holding a dowel rod, okay, and squatting down to an elevated platform versus the lowest box, okay, and that's just scaling 101. Okay, and with that, you'll have an advanced and an easier version for each exercise. With the red light, we want to pick an easier version and just make sure that whatever the client's particular compensation is, that we're going to scale for that so they don't hurt themselves. Now moving down, it's kind of the same idea with all of these. We have deadlifting movements, which are hip hinging. That's kettlebell swings. That's anything bending over. We have shoulder mobility, okay, which is any upper body movement. Single leg stance, which are single leg movements. Core movements, which are just core drills that we use in our ab circuits and that kind of thing. And then glute bridge test, okay, and these are things where the client is supine, so things like stability ball rollbacks, glute bridges, single leg glute bridges, and that sort of thing. And then from there, we're also going to do strength testing, all right? And this relates more to how proficient the client actually moves, as well as how strong they are, okay? And if the client, for example, in the push-up test, push-up is a common exercise that we use both in training and in our circuits. And for me, the push-up is something that is pretty universal in terms of all pushing exercises. The client can't do a push-up on a table, chances are they're probably not going to be able to bench press their body weight either, okay? And you'll notice that the mechanical cues for the push-up are pretty much the same as they are for a bench press or an overhead press. So if the client has a good push-up, that pretty much means that any upper body pushing exercise is going to be okay for them, okay? And when I say that, I mean, the advanced version, heavier weight, feet up on a box and that kind of thing. But look at the video will demonstrate several levels of the push-up. And again, if the client is doing push-ups on an elevated surface like a wall or a table, you know that they're probably going to need the beginner version just because they don't really have that movement yet, or they're not very strong. If any movement is painful, as always, don't train that movement. So rather than doing a push-up in that circuit, I would have them do like maybe a band row or something like that, just so we don't train through painful patterns, because that's not what we want to do. That's only going to make things worse. So, and you'll see the same thing kind of with all of these basic strength tests. They kind of give us an idea. Inverted row is kind of analogous with pulling exercises. Split squat is for single leg exercises. Squat is for double leg exercises. So again, that gives us an idea based upon these things of what we can expect from this client when they're coming in, so we can scale properly. Finally, the last one would be work capacity. Okay, and this is just a circuit training test. If the client could do 4 rounds no problem, then we're going to use the rep scheme that we prescribe in the circuit. Okay, if it's a 90-second rep scheme, we know that they can go hard for 90 seconds. But if they're doing 1 to 2 rounds, or they gassed out before the circuit ends, you might have them do 30 seconds and then rest while the rest of the class goes on. Okay, and again, this is not something that is always required, but I want to know as much going in about the client as possible, and this is something that we do with all of our clients. So you can have the client do this at home before they come in. As a trainer, you can do this with the client as well, but I feel it's very important as an intake procedure, so we know exactly what we're dealing with, so we can properly scale for the individual.